Welcome back to part 2 of my shed extension build, where I turned my 5-foot shed into an 8-foot shed. In part 1, we created and laid the shed base, and in this episode you're going to see us create the sides and try and put them into place. So what we're going to do is place the feather edge boards between 2 bins to make a nice stable base, and whilst they're sealed together we're going to saw through them in a pack. Going to add a couple of cable ties in the middle here, get it nice and tight together, and then saw through rather than taking them apart and sawing each board individually. We've measured halfway along the boards, and using this set square we've done a pencil line around each side so that as we saw it we'll get a nice even cut, hopefully. We've sawed through one pack, so we've now got 2 halves at 1.20 m each, and we're going to do the same with the other pack. Yay! Look at that! That's brilliant. I decided that I wanted to paint the feather edge boards before we made the fence panels up. I'm using a 5-litre tub of Ronseal in charcoal grey, and I'm giving it all 2 coats to match the colour of the existing shed that we're adding on to. The next thing that I'm going to do is create 2 rectangle frames that will be the sides of the shed extension once we fill the boards in. We hammered the first 4 or 5 boards in with the fence panels down laying flat, but when we stood it up vertical they weren't aligning with the previous structure panels, so we had to, as you can see, take the nails out at one end and readjust to get them to line up all the way with the pre-existing shed. This worked much better, but it was harder to hammer the nails in, so we had to put a beam across the front at an angle to try and hold it into place whilst putting the last few boards in. But we've managed it, and as you can see it's looking good. We've put a supporting batten in down the centre. From this clip you can see that we've got the panel in place on the right hand side, and we've just put the empty rectangular frame into position on the left. Both of the side panels are still being supported by a temporary piece of wood put up across the front just to provide some stability whilst we're trying to hammer the nails in. Starting at the bottom and making our way up, we're going to do 7 panels and then stop, because the top section is where the windows are going to go. I'm just going to give you a quick update on the shed build and where we've got up to. We created the side panels first of all from the rectangular frame, put the slats across individually, and then we've gone up the centre with another support. That's going to be the complete size. Over here today, same process. We started with the rectangular frame, we've gone up from the base, working our way up with the slats, put an extra support in the middle, and now it's time for a little bit of paint on the second side that I hadn't yet had time to do. At this point we had to stop and take the 2 side panels off because it was far too windy to continue. We'll come back in 24 hours. Today the shed build is back on, and the plan is to remove this end panel here, move that along to the front, and then put the new one in there so that all the windows are in a line. So we're just trying to access the screws under the roof felt to get to the panel. One at the bottom. Now it's time to remove the trim from the side. Start by unscrewing at the bottom and make your way up so that once the wood is released it doesn't fall over. This is a lesson I have learnt during the shed build. The next task was to put the side panel into place, and it was really easy. You just literally slide it in and it fitted just like a jigsaw piece. It's starting to come together now. We've removed the end panel and we've put the side panel into place. Looking good. Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. We're now putting the small panel back on and drilling the two together. The other side of the shed didn't have any windows in, so we didn't need to juggle around the position of the panels. Thanks so much for watching part 2 of the shed extension. There will also be a separate video on how we put the windows in and showing the last few stages of the extension.